Warm welcome to all the learners to this video lecture on the topic educational communication. Friends, in this video lecture we will be discussing about specifically the educational communication, the communication which is carried out in the classrooms, then how you will plan for educational communication. If I say in a more specific way, how you will plan for classroom communication, and we will also discuss about some of the factors that you need to consider when you are planning for classroom communication. So to start with, I will be discussing about the educational communication. When we talk about educational communication, two things we need to consider. One, the communication which happens in the teaching learning process or classrooms, which we normally call education. And on the other side, there is something which is the training, where more focus will be on giving the skills or developing the skills of the learners or students. Say for example, training for piloting. If somebody wants to be a pilot, more focus will be on making those learners the pilots. Skill development is more focused in such training institutions. Even though I say about training, there also communication happens. When we teach the skills also, some kind of a communication has to be there in the classrooms. However, we call education and training to, types of education is important. Now, when we talk about the educational communication, what is that? One of the very simplest definitions which we can give, maybe we can say the communication which takes place in the educational process, that you can call as educational communication. And this is happening across the different modes of communication. You may be remembering in the previous lecture, we have quoted the different modes of education: the face-to-face education, open and distance learning, then the online education, and a mixture of both face-to-face and online education, which is the blended education or blended learning. So communication plays a very important role in all those modes of education, because through communication most of the subject knowledge, subject matter is delivered, we can say. When there is a communication during the teaching learning process, we call it as educational communication. So you can bring that communication both in education and in training. So this is one of the simplest explanation we can give, which for the educational communication. And you are also very familiar, I am sure. In classrooms, the teacher will come to the classroom, will engage in the teaching learning process. The teacher will talk or discuss something. The students will also do the same. So such communications, we call it as educational communication. Now, coming to the nature of educational communication. What is the nature of educational communication? See, the first one is, it is purposive. Whenever teacher initiates or communicates something in the classroom, definitely there will be some purpose behind it. And the simplest one, as we see, teaching a subject matter. So when I am teaching any subject matter, as a teacher, I would be thinking of my students should understand what this concept is about, what this concept is. So purpose, there are different types of purposes maybe we can bring into this nature of educational communication, the purpose. There can have different purposes. Maybe I would say one more example, when we are in a lab physics, chemistry, biology lab. So when the teacher asks the students to do some experiment, there will be some purpose behind it. When the teacher asks students to do a project, there will be some purpose behind it. When the students are asked to read the self-learning materials which are available in the open distance learning, majorly we use in the open and distance learning, and that's why I am quoting the open and distance learning. So there also there will be a purpose behind why the student should read this self-learning material. So that is one of the natures of educational communication. The second is positive. The educational communication is positive. What does that indicate? Positive means by giving education, when the teacher is engaged in the teaching learning process, when they are communicating, it should bring some positive changes in the students. And that's why we call education is for bringing in the all-round development of the child. So once they complete the education, they should develop, they should evolve as a good human being. They will of course have the subject knowledge also, but at the same time they should evolve as they should develop as a good human being. Now so that is the second nature of educational communication. The third is pragmatic nature of communication. It should have some kind of system, or it should help them to practice. Through education, they should be able to practice what we are taught or what the students are learning in the classrooms. They should be able to practice both in the classrooms, and after the class hours also they should be able to use the knowledge that they have gained in the classrooms. So it brings some kind of a practical value also, which is pragmatic in nature, which is, we say, this can be done or practiced. So that is the third nature of educational communication. I would sum up three natures of educational communication. One, it should be purposive, positive, and the third is pragmatic. So whenever you are engaged in an educational communication, you should keep all these things in mind. Let us now discuss about the different approaches to educational communication. I hope you may be recalling the different types of communication. When I was discussing about the different types of communication, I have pointed out there is one classification which is like the interpersonal communication, intrapersonal communication, group communication, and mass communication. So these are the different approaches. See, when I am teaching any concept, any subject to my students, then I will be always thinking about, when the students are engaged in the teaching learning activities, some activities, I may be thinking of something in my mind. So always some kind of a communication goes within me. Such communication we call it as intrapersonal communication. Interpersonal is between students. I will be talking more about interpersonal communication. So interpersonal communication also happens, and the common example is a teacher talking to the students. Interpersonal communication. So this is also one of the approaches. Then the teacher communicating to the entire classroom, entire students, which is nothing but the group communication. Then when the teacher makes use of any technologies, mass medias, ICTs, we call it as mass communication. Very common in open and distance learning and all. And today, since we are using the blended mode of teaching learning practices, technology is also used in the face-to-face education. So when technology is used, medias are used, ICTs are used, they are mass communication. So these are some of the communication approaches which are happening in the classroom. So these are, we can say, the approaches of educational communication, approaches to educational communication. Now, how would you plan for educational communication? The first thing is you should identify, you should select a topic. This is very much important. See, whenever we go for a teaching session, we should have a blueprint of what it is happening, what it is going to happen in the classrooms. We will prepare a blueprint of the activities which are going to be carried out in the classroom. We call it as lesson plan. So a teacher should always prepare a lesson plan when they are going for a teaching session. So while we are preparing the lesson plans, of course we should select one topic. This topic I am going to cover today. Say for example, velocity, acceleration, mass, one topic or a couple of topics. Now the next step is you should have some realistic goals. We call it as the educational objectives or what we say learning outcomes. So by teaching the concept of velocity, by teaching the concept of acceleration or any such topics from any of the subjects, English, mathematics, languages, you will also always have some kind of a plan that some kind of changes has to happen in the students, and that is what our educational objectives or learning outcomes. So you should set such goal before we undertake some educational communication. It's not just like coming to the classroom, delivering a lecture. It should be properly planned. Now the third is you should clearly understand, know the student, what kind of learners are my learners, their age level, their experiences, previous experiences, their understanding about the subjects, their experience about the outside world, everything you should understand before planning your communication. Now the organization of topic or content is the fourth step. See, every topic has some kind of a logical flow, sequential flow. So you should teach, maybe sometimes I would say, if as an example, start with the topic, then it should grow like, the continuity should grow like. So it starts from simple, then we are proceeding to the complex ideas. Simple ideas we will be teaching in the beginning, then it slowly, gradually moves to complex ideas. So that kind of a sequential, logical flow has to be there when you are thinking about organizing your topic. The next is when you are planning for educational communication, one of the very important things now is, again I would say, since we are talking about technology integration in the teaching learning process, selection of technology is one of the very important steps, one of the important steps in the planning. There are absolutely no end to that. Many technologies are available, many ICTs are available. You pick out a suitable technology out of this big basket, then use it in your teaching learning process. So that is the fifth step. Now last one is time duration. Of course, in a normal classroom teaching learning situation, we get 40 to 45 minutes of time. So you should plan your content accordingly so that it will be covered in the allotted time duration. So these are some of the steps that you need to consider when you are engaging, when you are planning for an educational communication or classroom communication. Now friends, we will be discussing more about classroom communication. I hope the concepts that we have discussed till now, you have made an understanding. We were talking about the educational communication and how you will plan for educational communication. Now we will be more specific, we will be talking about more about classroom communication, which is nothing but the communication carried out in the classrooms or teaching learning process. So such communication we call it as classroom communication. Okay, this can be both in education and training. And see, you may be remembering the different components and the process of communication. Encoding, then the sender encodes the idea, then it is put in the form of messages, then it is transferred, sent through some medium or channel. It is reached to the receiver decodes it, makes some understanding about the message, then sends a feedback. And the factors which disturbs the flow of information, we call it as the noise. So, the same components also play in classroom communication. And see, for example, most of the time teachers are the senders. Okay, this is how it is. But there are transformation in the roles played in the teaching learning process. We were considering the teachers as transmitters of knowledge. Now it is no more like that. Students themselves knowledge or constructs knowledge. So, sender, teacher sends the information, students receive the information, classroom communication. Now, let us see how or what are the different types of communication which happens in the classroom. I would say one is teacher-class communication. We had also discussed about the approaches of educational communication. When we talk more specifically about the classroom communication, the different types of communication, one is the teacher-class communication. Teacher is talking to the entire students of the classroom. The second one is teacher-student communication. I can ask a student to maybe define a concept, or I can ask a student to read a paragraph from the textbook. So, when a teacher talks to a particular student, then it is teacher-student communication. There is an exact reverse process where the students are talking to the teacher. So, that is student-teacher communication. Student will be asking a doubt, student will be saying, I didn't understand this concept. Student may say, if the teacher asks a question, students can reply to that. So, teacher, student or student teacher. So, that is the third. Now, student-student communication is also there. Suppose the teacher asks the students to engage in a learning activity, some kind of a group activity, then the individuals, the students in that particular group, they will talk themselves regarding those activities. So, such communication is student-student communication. Now, student-class communication. Maybe sometimes the students talks to the entire classroom. So, these are the common types of what we say the classroom communication which is happening in a classroom. You should not forget that we have discussed about the approaches to communication also, and this is more specific to classroom communication, the different types of classroom communication, that is teacher-class communication, teacher-student communication, student-teacher communication, student-student communication, and student-class communication. Now, friends, I would also give you some tips, or I'll discuss about some of the factors which we need to consider when we are engaging in the classroom communication. We have discussed about the steps or some of the planning, styles, or some of the ways you can follow when we are engaging in a classroom communication. So, I'll be talking little more about the different factors that you need to consider when you are engaging in a classroom communication. So, whenever I discuss about the different communication styles or the factors, you should always keep in mind about the technology side of the factors. That also plays an important role, because we are seeing how technology can be more integrated in the teaching learning process. So, I will be talking about some of the common factors which you can consider, then a little about the technology side also. So, in general, these are the factors that you need to consider. The readiness of the learner to listen is one of the factors. You should see whether your students are ready to listen what you are talking about. You should prepare them for your lecture, very important. Then the next is information overload. See, when we are talking about, as I said, we get a 40-45 minute duration. So, we should not trouble students bringing in too many concepts into the classroom. Think of the students' age level, their understanding. Accordingly, you pitch your content. don't bring in so much of information. Your speed of presentation, this also matters. There are teachers who speaks very in a speedy way, very slow mode. So be in a medium mode so that every student in the classroom will be able to listen to you. Sequence of presentation is another important factor. As I said, you organize your content in such a way that it should have a sequential and logical flow. Then the language you are using in the classroom, make it understandable to the student. So the semantics also matters. The language, how you use your vocabulary, everything matters. Distancing is another factor we need to consider. As I said sometimes in the previous lectures, that if a classroom have 200 students, sometimes the distance is creating big trouble. Whatever you talk will not be reaching to the entire students. Next is anxiety and fear. You should maintain a good, the psychological, we should have a proper psychological state of matters so that you will be able to clearly present your subject matter. Lack of interest is another factor. Make students interested, whatever you are going to speak. So you should bring in that kind of a presentation in your communication so that students will love to listen in your lecture, love to sit in your classrooms. External disturbances. Think of the external disturbances which creates some kind of a nuisance in your lecture. You avoid such external disturbances. The other very important factor is the lack of background information. You should understand the students, accordingly you pitch your presentation. Then lack of interactivity. In communication, interactivity plays a major role. We will be talking about interactivity in the third or fourth week. So you should engage students in the teaching learning process in your communication so that students will be listening to your lecture. Then ineffective methods of teaching. We should not go for any ineffective methods of teaching. Choose a suitable method of teaching which would engage students and they will be listening your lecture. Then the last and very important point is the technologies. Lack of teaching aids. Friends, there are many technologies which you can bring in your classroom. This will make your communication more interesting. Students will also love to use such technologies when you are using technologies to teach. So think of the available technologies. We will give you, the list of technologies and how it can be used in the coming lectures. So you choose suitable technologies when you are communicating with your students. This is possible in all the modes of education, face-to-face, ODL, online and blended learning. So friends, with this sum up this lecture. In this lecture we have talked about educational communication. We started with what educational communication is about. We have had a small discussion about the difference between education and training. Then we have discussed about the approaches to educational communication, then how you will plan for educational communication. Then we have shifted to classroom communication. We have discussed the different types of communication happens in the classroom. Then some of the common factors that you need to consider when you are engaging in classroom communication. I hope you have understood the concepts, the topics that we have discussed today. Thank you.